Hey everybody, so this is Professor Diffley. This is Ethics in the Modern World, Philosophy 201. This is the first of the lecture videos for Module 6. Module 6, we are into applying ethics now. So up to this point in the course, what we've been doing is learning about the main major ethical schools and really diving down those. Now that we have that base, now is where we begin to apply it to real world issues and questions. You'll see that we did a lot of this in the thought experiments and hypotheticals throughout. But now we're going to pick a real world issue. Like I said, we're going to start with eating animals because it's a little bit, it's not the most pressing issue in the world. It's, you could argue. But that's how I wanted to start that way, and then we build up. Because again, we'll be doing one next week, which is about simulated killing, and then for your final, you're going to get to choose a topic, and I'll be posting that stuff next week. I'm going to give you some options. You could also come up with your own questions, but I'm going to give you options you can choose from, but we'll get to that there. So, Module 6, where are we? So again, the applied ethics. So there is, let's just start with what you got to do this week, required readings, viewings, and due date. Readings, textbook, chapter 6. There's also an article. It's a very, very short article. I think it's only 2 pages, and it's eat animals. It's for their own good. So it's one of the views on the ethics of eating animals. Viewing lecture slides, which I'm going to go over, and there's notes to lecture slides in this slideshow. For Module 6, there's even more notes than usual, so make sure you're looking at those. And I'm going to go through them in a bit here. And there's only one required video by Peter Singer on non-human animal ethics. So you see the article here. I actually provided, these are the same article. One is in a Word doc that's accessible, done for accessibility purposes. There's also the PDF version. Some people prefer Word doc or PDF, but it's the same thing. Everything's the same there. I just give you the 2 different versions there. One thing with the PDFs is when you click on them, they open up right in Blackboard. But with the Word docs, you download them and open somewhere else. So that's really all the reading is, right? So textbook, the article, chapter 6, the lecture slides, and a single video. It is a little bit longer than others, 20 minutes, but it's really not that bad. So the only assignment you have is the position paper. And you can see over here, I created a new quick link section. Assignments is where you're going to be uploading your papers and finals. There's a video overview that I created for that, so watch that. It's also posted here in assignments. It tells you, about the requirements, instructions, how to upload your document, all that sort of thing. Goes through the questions a bit for you. So that is the overview for stuff, and you can see here, right? So this is the assignment. You click on it. It brings you over there, and this will bring you right to the way to upload. Again, I say this in the other video, but I'm going to reiterate because it's really important. You must upload your paper. Do not write it in. Do not write your submission like you do for blogs. Do not write it right in there. Do not write it down here in the comments. Really shouldn't put anything in the comments. You can if you want, but it's real no need, and it's not part of the graded paper. But upload it, right? So save it, upload it, because it's going to go through plagiarism checking software, Safe Assign. That's part of Blackboard, and it's also going to allow me to, comment easier and more directly on your papers, give you feedback, all that sort of thing. So, with the paper too, one thing I forgot to mention is you have multiple attempts to upload there, but I will only grade the last upload, right? So the final upload you make is the one I'll be grading. So say you do 3 uploads, and the papers are somehow different, each version you post, upload, I'm only going to grade that last one. So just keep that in mind. So, excuse me. All right, so let's get into the lecture slides. So again, like I said, there's notes for many of the slides. Now, how do you view them again? Even though I've showed you this before. Normal view is here. You can go to the notes page where it will put it, it's harder to read. You could, obviously make it bigger if you wanted to, but it'll put it there. But you go to normal view. You can do it a couple ways here. You could do it by down here, notes, oops, right? So that just gives you a slide. Just click on notes and it'll show you that. You could also just, put again the arrow like that. Boop, 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 and make it bigger or smaller as you go. So let's get into this. Let me put it in slideshow mode there for you. All right, so again, Module 6, Chapter 7, we are looking at the ethics of eating animals. And so what do we mean by the ethics of eating animals? So let's get into this. Is it permissible to eat non-human animals? Why or why not? You're going to notice this applied ethical question is pretty much the same as your paper. So you notice one of the things I do here is I specify non-human animals. That's what we're looking at here. Because I'm going to assume most of you agree that we shouldn't eat other human beings, other people. That is called cannibalism. So we're going to focus on eating non-human animals. But, most people say it is wrong to eat humans. Why? There's lots of taboos about it. It's probably not the wisest thing to do. I think it creates, disease in people that have done it. There were cannibalistic groups throughout the world at different times. But most people would say, it's never really ethical to eat humans. Now, what do I say? Never really. Is that true, though? Just a side note on this. Is it really true that it's always unethical to eat humans? Imagine a situation where it might be ethical to eat another human being. Imagine you're 3 people. You crash in the mountains. 3 you survive. There's other dead on the plane crash. You're stuck in the mountains. No one's coming for you. You guys have no food. Question is, the only way you can survive is if you eat one of the dead. They're frozen, they're preserved. There was actually a movie about this in the past. It was a real one about a South American soccer team that this happened to. So in that case where you're marooned, if you're gonna die if you don't eat one of the dead humans there, would that be morally permissible? Would it be ethical? Right, that's a question. Many people would say yes, it would be permissible at that point. It may not be desirable, the best thing, but you got to do what you got to do to survive there, and so there would be an exception. So that's one thing. But again, what are we looking at here? Is it permissible to eat non-human animals? Why or why not? And what you need to do here is really go through and argue your point. If it is ethical to eat animals, and some part of this question is there limits of what animals can be eaten, right? And why? So those are real questions there on off limits from becoming ethical meals. Why? You got to justify it again. You can't say it's because the animal's cute. That's not a very good justification. Or it's I wouldn't eat my pet because I love it. That's again not a really good reason. You need to justify and back up why you wouldn't eat those. If there are limits, what are the limits? What justifies them there? So let's starting points here. Let's look at some common justifications for eating animals. These are some of the most common justifications offered. Doesn't mean they're good justifications. It means they're the most common justifications we hear when this question comes up. Is it ethical to eat animals? So let's jump into these justifications here. So the comparative justification. This is one that you might often hear. So a common argument is that it's natural since animals frequently eat other animals, right? That's the circle of life. That's how this works, right? Is you ever watch a nature show, right? You know how the world works out there. So that's the argument. Hey, other animals, humans are an animal. But so it's natural since other animals do it. Why can't we? Bears eat salmon, fox eat chicken, lions eat gazelle, fish eat other fish. So humans also eat animals. And that's just the way it is. I put some of the common examples here. Clearly, people will eat other types of animals too, and that's part of it. But these are probably, at least here in the U.S., the animal species, animal types that are most eaten. So this, in this vein is the argument that humans have, incisor teeth, so our canines, right? And therefore are made to eat meat. Which not really a good argument. Just a side note on this, because most of our teeth are not actually made for eating meat. Humans are not really carnivores. We're more omnivores, right? So we can eat many, fruits, vegetables, meat. True carnivore really just eats meat. We're an omnivore. We can eat sorts of types of food, and that's a good survival strategy for the species, that sort of thing. So that's an argument. Hey, look, we have teeth like that, like others, so we should be able to eat animals too. So let's look at some of these problems with comparative justifications. The biggest one is, should we really be determining what's ethical based on animals, what an animal does? The whole point of ethics is that we have reason, or, what separates us from the other animals. Should we really be basing our ethics on what a lion does? It doesn't really make sense, to base it on those. And that's also a very bad argument. This is, whataboutism. These arguments, well, what I do is not that bad because, what about they did some? So it's pretty much saying that, other people do wrong, so I can do wrong too. That doesn't make it ethical. That's, kind of what children argue. It's a terrible argument. You do hear it from adults and politicians and others, but yeah, it's really whataboutism. It's just a way to justify their own actions and say, hey, which is not ethical, right? It's but so you shouldn't really be doing it in comparison, especially not to animals. But let's look at it this way. If we accept the comparative justification, then logically, that we can eat other animals because animals eat their own. Well, we should be able to too. We should be able to eat all animals. If we're going to take this to a logical conclusion and think this out, if you say it's ethical to eat animals because other animals eat other animals, then we should be able to do the same thing. That means we should be able to eat humans. We should be able to eat, whatever we want. A flipper, a dolphin. We should be able to eat that. Dogs, cats, they're on the menu. That sort of thing. Most people would not agree with that. Again, with the caveat that, in some places on the planet, animal species we wouldn't consider food are considered food, but let's just look at it from here. But again, so this is a problem with it is, do we really want to compare ourselves to animals in our ethics and base our ethics off that? And if you're going to do it if you are going to say that's the reason, well, then you need to take it to its logical conclusion. And can you accept that? I think most people could not. Dominion-based justification. But one thing I want to just do is, again, remember looking at the notes here. They go on to it. They elaborate. Some of it is information from the text. Some of it is, stuff I've added in and arguments there. So make sure to look at them. So, all right, back to this. Dominion-based justification. This is a religious justification that you may have heard. At least it's based in religion, but there's both a religious and a secular argument here. Religious argument: God made humans and gave them a soul, and therefore humans are separate from the animal world, and that God created animals and things just like plants for humans, right, for them to use. In the text, there's citations and references to the Bible. You'll find it in any of the big three Judeo-Christian Islamic books, holy books. But that's it there, right? So humans have a soul. They're higher. God created the animals for humans to use as they see fit. So this would make it seem right. It's because it's a law of God there. But there's exceptions, right? To this, certain religions you can't eat. There are religious laws against eating, say, shellfish or pork, or beef and that. So those are the argument, right, and why. There's different reasons for each one, but the argument is, again, here is God allows it because it's in a holy book. Secular argument here is let's remove God, but The argument is that humans are a higher life form, and as rulers of the planet, right, we're at the top of the food chain all over. We then have the authority to use animals for our benefit, right? We have the ability to reason, to think, to create societies and civilizations. These animals are lesser, and so we can use them in many ways. That is how civilization was created, right? On the back of agriculture, and then animal husbandry and pastoralism. Well, that's besides the point. But both of these are pretty much the same arguments. One relies on God saying that we are above animals and therefore can eat non-human animals. The other one is just removes God, but it's essentially making the same argument. All right, we will pick up with the next slide here with problems with dominion-based justification in lecture video 2. Thank you.